welcome to my channel. My name's Abdullah Kamil and today we're going to continue designing our personal budget template. In the last video we designed our input table. We added month and year columns where we calculated the month and the year for each date. We also added starting balance, total income, total expenses, and current balance. And we ended up with this simple design for a very important table which shows this month's expenses for each category, previous month's expenses for each category, and the year-to-date amount for each category. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some design changes here. Okay, so if you would like to make a column very thin, but just to make, spacing, use 1 as column width. It's really good. Okay, the other thing I like to do is to reset the row height to be 20 and center all of the stuff in the cells and also indent the text. Okay, this make it look a little bit better. Anyway, the other thing I do, I normally don't change the font from here. The way I do it, I use themes. So I use the theme that I like because, as you can see here, once I start hovering over a certain theme, you can see how the table design changes. Okay, I happen to like Wisp or Ion, which is both of them are good. We can probably go with the Ion and see. Okay, so this is how the table looks like at the moment. We are not happy with this. Let's see the colors available. Yeah, we might change this. So we remove the banded rows and we go here. Yeah, this looks really better than what it used to be before. The other thing, these filter buttons here, we're not going to use them. The table is hardly going to change, so we remove the filter buttons here, so the table looks much better now. The other thing is I'd like to remove the grid, so I go to View tab and I remove the grid lines here. Next step is we're going to add a chart to show a donut chart to show this month's expenses. Okay, we can do this quicker by selecting and just going selecting category and this month's expenses, and we go to the donut chart, and as you can see we immediately get a very nice looking one. I'd like to have the legend to the right. It's really good practice and it really makes much sense if the total number of all the expenses here is in the middle of the donut chart. Okay, Excel doesn't give us that, but we're gonna do it. Okay, so the way we're gonna do it is we're gonna add a rectangular shape here in the circle, and any rectangular shape or any shape you can reference a cell to it. So if you reference a cell, that cell's value will actually display in that shape, but the only thing you can do is just reference a cell. You cannot write any formula inside it. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a cell for our this month's expenses. Okay, so this month's expenses, they're gonna be the sum of all the numbers in this table excluding the income. Okay, and we would like to actually lock that range. All right, so this is the way it looks. As you can see here, we can get rid of all the decimals. We don't really need them. Okay, so we go back to the input here, and now we have this month's expenses total. We would like to have this actually showing in the chart, in the donut chart. So you go to Insert and you go to Shapes, and then you go and define your rectangular shape. And then with the rectangular shape selected, go here in the formula bar and reference that cell that contains this month's expenses. Hit enter and you can immediately see it here. Go to Format, remove the outline, remove the fill, and center everything. Yeah, and increase the size of the number. Yeah, this may be okay. All right, the other thing is we have an outline here. We want to get rid of it, so we go to Format, Shape Outline, and No Line. We can change the colors for the chart only by going to Change Colors here from the design. And as you can see here, you can actually choose what colors you'd like to have. Okay, maybe you'd like to have this one, just as a grade of the same color. Okay, let's keep it the way it is. I think it looks okay. We're gonna add a new chart here that shows, it's gonna show us the expenses and the income for each month for the current year. Okay, so we're gonna create a table here, and this table is gonna show the month, and the month number, we're gonna use that for filtering, and we're gonna calculate the income and the expenses for each month. So we're gonna write January here, and we're gonna drag it so we until December. Same thing we're gonna do for the month numbers, and now we're gonna calculate the income for each month for the current year. Now remember, this applies to the current year only, okay? Because we're gonna have a chart here for the current year that shows expenses along with income, and the point behind that is to show you, did you exceed your income? Did your expenses exceed your income for each month of the current year? Okay, previous year doesn't matter, and if it matters, then you will compare maybe January with January from last year. Okay, so let's go ahead and format it. I'm gonna choose this. Okay, anyway, yeah, this looks better. Okay, so for the income, okay, I'm gonna write here in the formula bar so we can see the whole formula without being obstructed. So we're gonna use sum F because we're calculating sum F's. Okay, so sum range, the range that we'd like to sum is the amount. So this is what we would like to sum. So the first thing is categories. This is the first criteria range, and the it's going to be filtered by everything other than income. Okay, so this will filter all the category column based on everything that is not equal to income. So basically it's going to give us the sum for the expenses. So this is our first filter. The second criteria range is going to be the month, and the criteria range is going to be the adjacent month here in this table. Okay, the third one is going to be the year, and the year that we'd like to filter the year column with is going to be the year for today, which is the current year basically. Okay, yeah, and I think we're done here. Okay, and as you can see here, the expenses for December, which is the current month, is the same as the expenses here, which means that our calculation is correct. I miswritten the formula in the wrong column. Okay, so this is gonna be, we just remove the not equal to, and we keep income. Okay, so this is the income here. Okay, we copy, because it's basically the same function, we're gonna copy it to expenses column, and we're gonna paste it, and we're gonna add to the income everything that is not equal income. So this is the filter for the category, and as you can see here, we are now have the income and expenses for each month of the current year. Okay, so now we're gonna add a chart, and the chart is gonna be a column chart, a clustered column chart, and basically we're gonna add the first criteria, the first series is gonna be called income. Okay, and the series is this one. Okay, the other one we're gonna add is gonna be called expenses, but we already have a table that's called expenses, so we're just gonna keep this expense. Okay, and we go back to income and select the expenses, the column here, and we hit OK. And the last thing we'd like to have is the change the horizontal category axis. And we go back to input and we choose January through December. And as you can see here, the chart is doing just fine. The next thing we need to do is to make this chart easier to read. So the way to do that is to merge both of these columns into one. So it's like the expenses is filling the income column. Okay, it does actually give a nice looking chart. Okay, so to do that, with the chart selected, go to Format and click on Format Selection. And let's bring this here. Okay, and we click on any of the columns here, and what we need to do is to click here on the Axis Options. The first thing is the series overlap. We'd like it to be 100%. So as you can see here, it looks like as if the expenses is filling up the income column. Okay, and this is the effect that we're after. Okay, the other thing is the gap width. You would like to reduce the gap width maybe to 50%, and this is kind of things that the information graphics guys like to use. So 50% is really a good spacing between the columns. The last thing we have here is to change the colors. The colors don't look really good. So it is really nice if you could change the colors of the columns to be the same color. One of them is light, the other one is darker. So the darker is filling up the light one. Okay, so if we go here and we go to change colors, and we would like maybe to use, so if you use this one, you can see that this is not the desired effect. But if you go down and you go to the one that is actually the opposite to that, so you start getting something that is easier to look at. Maybe we just like to change the colors here, something to go with the other colors. Yeah, maybe we go with, not sure really. Yeah, well, you can change it and make it the way you want. So we're gonna keep the green one here maybe, and yeah, so as you can see here, it's like the expenses is filling up the income column. All right, so this is the effect that I was after. Okay, so we remove the outline again from the chart here, and we say no outline. Okay, so these are mainly the charts that I need. Okay, let's make them actually more meaningful. So we're gonna say this month's expenses. This is the chart. This is the donut chart here. This chart is gonna say what it does. Okay, so we're gonna add the chart title, and in the chart title here we're gonna say this year's income versus expenses, for example. Okay, so this is going to always show us this year's expenses for each month. Okay, so I guess we are good. You can add many charts to show different things that you're after. So the other thing that we, maybe the final thing we're going to add to this dashboard is to add some sort of a ribbon here that shows, the numbers that we're most likely interested in. Okay, so we're going to add a shape here, and maybe a shape like this one. Here you are. Okay, so we're gonna use this shape here. Okay, we're gonna make these angles more rounded, so this gonna give a professional look to our dashboard here. And the designs is left up to you, of course. You can go ahead and change these and make any yeah, maybe we'd like to go with something like this, or maybe go with something like this. Just totally up to you. Yeah. Yep. Okay, we're gonna go with this one, which is similar to this one. Maybe the other colors go with it as well. Okay. So what are we gonna have here? We're gonna have maybe the title. Let's go ahead and add another shape instead of using. Yeah, shapes are easier to use. So we're gonna edit text here. We're gonna say personal. The smart personal budget. Okay, and let's do the same thing that we've done before, is to remove the fill, remove the outline, and now we're gonna just make the font much bigger. Okay, so this is kind of your title for the template. Okay, so making these things look much better and selecting the right colors sometimes take more than just one setting. Okay, so you need to kind of spend more time on it to perfect it. Okay, so what we're gonna add here, we're gonna add the things that I personally like to see is to see the income year to date, expenses year to date, and maybe current balance here, which is most important. Okay, so we're gonna use the same thing that we've used before with donut chart. Okay, so we're gonna go back and the current balance that we see here, we would like to add a word to it. Okay, because we're gonna use because we would like to reference it to a rectangular later on. Okay, so you can add text to it saying current balance. So you can write current balance, and you can add a space, and you can use the ampersand here, and you can see that the calculation is still done correctly and the text is added to the formula. Now the problem with that is we cannot format the number here, so we're gonna have to use a text function to do that for us. So we're gonna use the text function after the ampersand, and the value is the same as it was, and the text format we're gonna use the dollar sign, and we're gonna put the thousand separator by using hashes and zeros. And the difference between the hash and the zeros, if you would like to know, in a custom format, it's just one of them will give you 0 in the absence of a number, the other one will not. Okay, so this is the format that we'd like to use, and as you can see here, the format is already applied correctly. We requested as one decimal, one number after the decimal. Maybe we don't really need that, so we're just gonna keep it decimal free number. All right, so now we can actually reference this cell to the dashboard. So let's go ahead and you know what, let's just copy this one here, and what are we gonna do? We're gonna delete everything, and then select the border, and then reference the cell we just created for the current balance and hit enter. And as you can see, we can actually see it here now. Okay, so we're gonna use the white color, we're gonna increase the size of it. Yeah, maybe just a little bit smaller than our dashboard title. Okay, so the current balance is done. Maybe you can put it here. Okay, so you do the same thing for year-to-date expenses and year-to-date income. Okay, so for the year-to-date income, just basically calculating the income only from what we have there, but also we're gonna add some words to it, okay, as we've done with the other one. Okay, so year-to-date income, we're gonna calculate it using some F's. So as you already know, let's go to the formula bar. We're going to choose the amount. This is the sum range. We're going to filter the category with the word income, and we're going to filter the year, okay, with the year for today. And that's going to give us this year's income, okay? So this year's income, 2017. The problem now is we would like to do the same thing that we've done before with the current balance. We'd like to have the word added to it, okay? So what we're going to do, we come at the beginning and we're going to add the word income year to date. I'm going to put a space and the ampersand. And now we're going to use the text function to actually format the resultant number that we would like, as we've done before. So we put the $, we add the separator there for the 1000, and we close the parentheses. Yep, I think we're done. Cool. So you can see here the income, the year-to-date income is correctly calculated, and okay, so let's copy and paste this one, and now instead of referring to that cell, we're gonna make it refer to the income year to date. Okay, and okay, so now it looks just fine. So this is the income year to date. What is left is only the expenses year to date. Let's say year to date expenses. Okay, so the same as before, we're gonna use some F's, and the sum range is the amount, and we're gonna filter category with everything other than income. So we put the non-equal sign. Let's go to the formula bar again so things can be looked at clearly. And the other thing, we're gonna filter with the year, and criteria is gonna be the year for today. Okay, I think we're done. And same thing, we're gonna add expenses year to date as a text, so we can have it ready as a comment. And we're gonna use the text function to correctly filter the amount with the $. So use quotation mark and the $sign here, and the hashes with the 1000 separator, and we close the quotation mark, and we're done. And as you can see here, expenses year to date is 28. And now we do the same thing, just paste the same number, the same box here that we used for the current balance. And this time, we're gonna reference the expenses year to date, and the same thing as before. 20. Yep. So this is about the same size. Okay. So as you can see here now, all of them are, and if you're not sure if they are correctly aligned, you can select all the boxes here. Maybe not this one, and you go to Format tab and go to Align, and just align the top to be correctly sure. And maybe also you can change the distribute horizontally. Okay, and as you can see here, all the boxes are now correctly aligned. So once you're happy with how everything is aligned and how everything looks, you can go ahead and save it. And this is just the beginning, okay? But as you can see, you start seeing, your data come into life, and you can do much bigger things than this. I mean, you can add percentages, you can add, a lot of other things whenever they come, meaningful, whenever they make sense, whenever you actually need them. And this is what I urge you to do all of the time. Don't just do things because you can. Do them because only when you need them. Okay, that will remove any clutter that will make things too busy, and not easily read. Okay. So I think I'm happy with how the template looks at the moment. So this is how I normally design templates. I simplify the inputs and elaborate and and go crazy and go wild with the outputs. And this is what we try to do here. We just put the things that are important. We'd like to know the income year to date. We would like to know the expenses year to date, and we certainly do like to have the current balance, all the time, staring at us in the eye. The other thing you'd like to have is the how much money we spent each month on each category, and we would like to have the previous months, because the previous month most of the time will act as some sort of a gauge. Okay. And the year-to-date amount is just to give you an idea on how much money you spent on a certain category. Maybe if you spend too much on shoes, maybe you need to look at why. Okay. And the other thing here, it's good to see the how the expenses fill the income column. Okay. And as you can see here, it will give you an idea on how much money you saved for each month. Okay. So I hope I could teach you something in this video, and if you have any question, please don't hesitate to drop me a comment. Okay, so thank you so much for listening, and please come back here for things like this in the future. Thank you so much.